Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for a Tuesday edition of the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini, and lots to talk about for all three of the Pittsburgh professional sports teams today. Going to start, as usual, with the top team in the city, that being the Pittsburgh Steelers, followed by some Pittsburgh Penguins hockey. And then a little bit of baseball. The Pittsburgh Pirates, even though they are well out of the playoff hunt, they have a chance to do something fantastic here tonight, play spoiler to one of their division rivals. What we will talk about today, Mike Tomlin and his annual Tuesday press conference, recapping this past weekend's game, looking forward to this big upcoming game this weekend in Ireland against the Minnesota Vikings, and of course, some injury reports along the way. For the Penguins, they just had their first preseason game action last night. What those prospects and players in that game did, we will break down as well. And then we will wrap things up with some extra Pittsburgh sports news like always. But before we officially get things going here on this Tuesday, if you are new here to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live or upload a video again. Also, feel free to hit that like button, share this live stream, and leave a comment in the comment section. Any thoughts, questions, or opinions that you may have, feel free to get those in there. We already have one commenter in there already, and it is a reoccurring viewer here on the channel. Concepts, welcome back. What is going on? Patriots ran a bunch of too high looks, light boxes, and 2.6 yards per carry was all we got. Najee ran against the most stacked boxes in the NFL and averaged 4 yards per carry with a worse O-line. I knew we would miss Naj. It's still, we talked about it yesterday, absolutely devastating for Najee to have that season-ending injury. You can say his best ability was his durability, never missed a game, and then for his Achilles to just pop like that absolutely stinks. Steelers running for just 2.6 yards per carry against light boxes compared to Najee with 4.0 yards per carry. I think we're taking a couple things away from that. First off, the Steelers' run defense has never been good this. You were hoping that, Caleb Johnson would fill that role and fill it, even better than Najee did, but that unfortunately has not happened up until this point. So let's wait until we see what Caleb Johnson does. He's a guy that I think can just lower his shoulder and get 3-4 yards in a cloud of dust, but haven't seen that from him yet. Steelers, though, I think, them going out there, they have more attention to their passing offense now than with Aaron Rodgers at the helm than Russell Wilson used to as well. So that kind of feeds into your argument there, Concepts. Hopefully they can continue better with the running attack here. I think it became very predictable, the game play calling on Sunday. So let's see what they can do moving forward. Durability, ball security, Derrick Henry, cough. Yeah, we watched that last night, and that was real fun to watch. The Ravens choke away that game, so that was fun. Most explosive runs alongside Warren, one of my favorite Steelers. I also like Warren, by the way. They were a great duo. Yep, no slight here, Jalen Warren whatsoever. Unfortunately, he's just the only guy in there right now to run the ball. Kenneth Gainwell, I mean, maybe he has a good run here and there, but he's not a guy that you give half the reps to. And then Caleb Johnson was on the sideline for the entire game. So we'll see what they do moving forward, trying to fix the run. Maybe, who knows, they start running the ball coming up here on Sunday in Ireland, which is where we start the show today, ladies and gentlemen. Mike Tomlin today having his Tuesday press conference. Gives a recap or synopsis, as he likes to say, of the previous game, look ahead to this upcoming week's opponent, and then gives us some Q&A and some injury updates. So that is where we are going to start today. Tomlin, first thing that he addressed wasn't actually the game from this past weekend. It was actually looking ahead to this upcoming weekend's game in Ireland. Tomlin, you see one of his quotes right there, saying getting the opportunity to play internationally is a big honor. It's something that I've been a part of a couple of times, and it doesn't get old, man. To represent our game of American football on the international stage is special. Tomlin also, later on in his press conference, mentioned that this game is going to be played with a special feeling for former Steelers owner and U.S. Ambassador Dan Rooney. Tomlin says he thinks a lot about him going over there this year, and he will continue to do so. Said, I'm sure he is going to be smiling down on us this weekend. Thought that was cool there from Tomlin, and hopefully Mr. Rooney smiling down will give the Steelers a little bit of extra luck heading into Dublin this weekend. As for what to expect from the team in Dublin, Tomlin said that it's a business trip, like always, that they aren't going to be, going out and partying in Dublin, splitting the G, all that good stuff. Talking about this past weekend's game, Tomlin said that the defense needs to be better on 3rd and 4th down. We talked about that in depth yesterday, how they would, even at times get the Patriots into 1st and 20, 1st and 15 situations, and then yet the Patriots on 3rd down and even 4th down would constantly convert. And that was really, really annoying to watch. Tomlin says team needs to be better in the money downs, as he likes to call them. I mean, the team, I think they practice that a whole bunch and they preach it a whole lot. Now it's time for them to really step up and make those plays. Also said about the defense, we're not always going to be able to take the ball away from people. That's another thing we talked about yesterday, how 5 turnovers, that's not going to be something that this defense is going to go out there and do every weekend. So they need to figure out ways to be more effective on defense other than just relying on getting turnovers. On the offensive side of the ball, Tomlin said that the offense, started off hot, 2 drives, 2 touchdowns. He loved the rhythm that they were going with. And then the Patriots, their offense just had long, 12-plus play drives. Got out of it, couldn't really, get their footing back out there on offense. He did say, though, that their red zone offense has played well and that they are moving in the right direction. I'll at least agree with him on the red zone part. I think the Steelers, more often than not, when they've traveled into the red zone so far this season, have come out of it not just with points, but with touchdowns. DK Metcalf has been a big target down there. Arthur Smith said that they're going to use Darnell Washington. He's sort of like Shaquille O'Neal, just throw it up to him. So the Steelers offense in the red zone, they have the weapons to do that. I expect them to score more touchdowns than not in the red zone, continue that trend. However, Tomlin's saying that the offense is moving in the right direction. Other than the red zone, not sure I agree with that because, sure, you had the solid game where Aaron Rodgers turned into 2012 Aaron Rodgers in week 1, but weeks 2 and 3, not a good showing from the offense. They only got 203 total yards against the Patriots. I know the Patriots defense, they were, I think I said the top sacking team in the NFL heading into Sunday's game, but still not a unit that's filled with much star power. They were down Christian Gonzalez, their top corner, 203 yards of total offense. They only had 49 plays offensively, but still you would like to see them just barely scrape over the 200 mark against that defense. Also, kind of damning of the defense and the offense both here. Dan Orlovsky of ESPN dropping this stat here. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they have been outgained by 289 yards in both of their wins combined. So the Steelers, they have won 2 games and been outgained significantly in those 2 wins. That is some defense heavy football, keeping the team in the ball game. But the Steelers, moving in the right direction, I guess, but I'm not willing to, say that they are going to be something, big explosive offense putting up 30 a game from here on out. So, wonder where Tomlin was coming from there. I don't see it unless he's, specifically talking about the red zone. Onto the injury report today. Some encouraging news, ladies and gentlemen, and that is the headline of tonight's live stream. Tomlin saying that Joey Porter Jr. and Deshaun Elliott have a real chance to play this week. They'll let practice participation be their guide, as Tomlin likes to say. So we've been talking about it. I want to say, Flacco, you Concepts, I think you guys have been leading the march that this secondary really needs the 2 guys that are really the what's the word I'm looking for? Really the veterans in that secondary, not, in terms of overall NFL play, but the 2 guys that were here last year in the secondary, both of them have been out with injury since week 1. Now they have a good chance to come back. That is excellent news there from Tomlin. A couple other injury reports as well. Tomlin said that Darius Slay, he is dealing with something minor. He said that he had a leg contusion in the Patriots game, kept him out for parts of that game. So Slay will probably be a limited participant in practice, but he expects him to be available for Sunday's game against the Vikings. Just one definitive player ruled out with injury for this upcoming weekend's game, and that is Alex Highsmith. No surprise there, still dealing with his high ankle sprain. Because he hasn't been put on injured reserve, I would assume that they are going to hold him out this week, let him get another 2, pretty much 3 weeks, honestly, off with the bye week, and then potentially he'll be back after the week 5 bye in week 6 against the Cleveland Browns. These designations, Porter and Elliott as questionable, Slay as probable, they should not be affected by anything this week related to the Steelers and their travels. Tomlin said that he doesn't anticipate travel or the variability in-field surface that they'll be playing on at over in Ireland. Doesn't expect any sort of things like that to affect the recovery of any injured players. And the team schedule will not hurt or change the availabilities of injured players like Elliott or Porter and their returns this week. So you won't see, on Thursday, because the team traveled over to Ireland or something, like Porter and Elliott not get their correct treatment or rehab. They will be game time decisions questionable. So that is very, very nice to hear. On to more here from Tomlin's press conference. This is more in the Q&A portion of it. Talked about the Vikings and their team and treating them like the threat that they are. I'll admit I am very, very nervous. I want to say it was Owl on the Prowl who was in here last night saying that he thinks the Steelers can be the Vikings, but I am very, very worried about this team. And from the sounds of it, it looks like Tomlin is going to be treating them as a top of the line team in the NFL. Said that Carson Wentz provides a lot of problems as a veteran quarterback. I believe Tomlin cited last year, I think it was last year, when the Steelers, they were playing the Indianapolis Colts in Indy. Anthony Richardson in that game went down with injury. In came Joe Flacco and just lit it up. So Tomlin said, hey, our guys, they need to be ready for this, veteran quarterback who's been there, done that, is one of, the best backup quarterbacks in the league. He will come out there and pick you apart mentally. So Tomlin fully aware of Carson Wentz and the problems that he may pose to this defense. Also, another problem for the defense, did not realize this until today. They not only have to cover arguably the top wide receiver in football in Justin Jefferson, also they are getting a fully 100% healthy Jordan Addison, former Pitt wide receiver, was suspended for the first 3 games of the season. He will make his return in this Dublin game. Might have a little bit of rust, but still a dangerous wide receiver. In my opinion, an easy top 5 wide receiver 2 in the league when he is at his full capabilities. So Steelers have to worry about that offensively. On defense, Tomlin talked lavishingly about one of his former coaches on his staff, that being Brian Flores, defensive coordinator for the Vikings. Said Flores is a brilliant, innovative defensive coordinator. He'll throw a bunch of different things at you, blitz-wise, secondary-wise. He'll throw a bunch of different looks and stunts and stuff like that. Tomlin said all that. Also said that Flores was a very successful head coach his first time around with the Miami Dolphins, and he said that he expects Flores to be a top-of-the-line head coaching candidate this upcoming offseason. So the Vikings, Tomlin says Steelers got a lot to prepare for with them. I agree. This is going to be their toughest game and opponent yet this year. Probably one of their toughest opponents that they will go up against this season. So hopefully they fix all their many issues that we've covered here time and time again on the channel, and that they have a sound game plan heading into this Vikings game, because it could get real ugly real quick if I had to guess. On to the legitimate Q&A portion of the press conference today for Mike Tomlin. Said that the Steelers will modify their practice schedule in Pittsburgh. They will be working earlier in the day starting tomorrow to begin acclimating to the time change in Dublin. I believe someone put out there that the Steelers are going to be practicing 11 a.m. local time, which would be around 4 p.m. over in Ireland. And the game, of course, will be at 9:30. So Mike Tomlin also gave a couple of good things to say about some defensive players of his. Flacco, I believe, let me go here to the comments section. Flacco, you have it here. Concepts as well. Peppers, Cole Holcomb, those guys are what really impressed Tomlin. Tomlin said that Jabril Peppers showed a lot of things to the Steelers, and he could get playing time even more when Deshaun Elliott returns. I don't think, Elliott's going to be completely written off, but one thing's for sure, if Deshaun Elliott is playing this upcoming weekend, you will not see Jabril Peppers just get, brushed aside. Thank you for coming in for 2 weeks and playing. Now our real guy's back. No, Peppers, I told you guys this. He is a hell of a football player. Lots of people were confused why he got cut from the New England Patriots. He's a hard-nosed, grinding football player, can play safety, can play linebacker, excellent in the run game. He's going to carve out a spot on this defense for the remainder of the season. Glad to see Tomlin agrees there. He also said that Cole Holcomb had a solid game in a much more increased role. Also gave testament to how Holcomb is very committed and is, unwavering in his return to football following that major knee injury. A couple other guys here. Nick Herbig. Tomlin said he has a feel for splash. Honestly, I've seen people bring this up online, and I am starting to wonder it myself. Could Nick Herbig maybe start be taking snaps away from Alex Highsmith? Highsmith, unfortunately, health has been an issue for him. And, I think one thing that he had an advantage of over Herbig was his, run defense, because I think Highsmith is 6'4", well over 200 pounds. Meanwhile, Herbig's smaller than that. I wonder, if Herbig, when Highsmith was in there, they just kept on running it to his side. I wonder, do you now, if Alex Highsmith comes back and, Herbig is still going out there making splash plays? I think he had 8 pressures and a sack, strip sack. Uh, you know, why not just put the more productive guy getting to the quarterback in there instead of the guy who, doesn't do that as often as Herbig, and they're both going to have pretty much the same success against the run. So I've seen people put that out there. I'm starting to wonder it myself. Tomlin likes Herbig. Of course, he's also, got great chemistry in with TJ Watt, 2 Wisconsin Badgers there. I just wonder, how that is going to play out when Alex Highsmith gets back healthy. And the last player that Tomlin gave praise for on the defense, another guy like Jabril Peppers, like Cole Holcomb, and even like Nick Herbig, who has really filled in for guys who are either injured or not producing. Daniel Ekwale. That's one guy that we really in pass coverage, he gets his hands up at the line of scrimmage. Also has been I'm not going to say good against the run because he hasn't been real noticeable out there, but hey, maybe that's a good thing, means team isn't running the ball on you. So Daniel Ekwale, another guy who Tomlin feels really high about. Onto the secondary itself. See you guys talking about Jabril Peppers and Juan Thornhill. Tomlin also talked about it and how we've been talking about, what's up with the secondary? Why are they giving up so much through the air? Tomlin said that they have been, running some base concepts on defense in the secondary, and that they have not had a chance to use their full slate of different coverages. He said that the injuries coupled with the secondary pretty much being new players, that's led a slow rollout of schematic twists that the Steelers want to utilize defensively this season. And Tomlin said that the more games go on, the more stadiums they step into, the more that they will expand that menu. So, I agree with that. I guess it just really sucks that, Joey Porter Jr. and Deshaun Elliott went down early because the Steelers secondary, they're suffering from it. They haven't been able to, show any exotic looks to the opposition because, you worry about guys miscommunicating, and then you get broken plays, and then you get, broken coverages and explosives downfield. So guess I agree with that, but I would really like to see those more exotic looks sooner rather than later. Last couple things here from Tomlin's presser today, talking about the offense a little bit. He said, talking about Aaron Rodgers, was asked if he's gotten everything that he's expected so far with Rodgers. Tomlin said, yeah, pretty much. Rodgers off the field, in the film room, everything that he does leading up to the game is top tier, and he has been absolutely mesmerized and is given 2 thumbs up about. Rodgers, I think he said it himself, hasn't, been performing up to the standard that he would like, especially over the past 2 games. But Tomlin said, Rodgers, everything he does off the field, eventually things are going to click on the field. He is too good of a preparer and too good of a player mentally that, his struggles are going to be a long-term thing here. It's just not going to happen. So let's hold off here a little bit more on, Aaron Rodgers and some of the flack we give him, but we will see. And then the last thing here, talked about schematics defensively. Let's talk about schematics offensively. Tomlin was asked about DK Metcalf and if the offense could be more creative in getting him the ball. Tomlin said, I have no reservations about our ability to get DK the ball. If people want to allocate schematics of multiple people to him, that's why it's a team game. So it doesn't sound like we're going to get any sort of new looks moving DK Metcalf a little bit, trying to get him the ball more. Instead, it's going to be on guys like Calvin Austin and, dare I say, Roman Wilson. But has anybody seen him? He's pretty much on a milk carton right now. Where the hell has Roman Wilson been? We haven't seen him at all this year. I mean, he had 9 snaps in the first game of the season. Think maybe 10 at most in game 2, and then I want to say he was back down to 9 snaps again against the Patriots. So who the hell knows where Roman Wilson is? This team really needs a wide receiver too, especially if they are just going to keep DK Metcalf in the same place, like Tomlin was saying there. But that's the main points taken away from Tomlin's presser today. Steelers could be getting some help in the secondary. Elliott and Porter could be coming back soon. The Vikings, they are going to be treated, rightfully so, as a great threat. And the Steelers could be a team on the rise offensively, according to Tomlin, and maybe on defense soon enough when they start throwing more exotic looks in the secondary their way. To the comment section we go here. 9 of you in here right now. Welcome to the live stream. Please hit that subscribe button and get your comments in the comment section. Any thoughts, question, or opinions. We go now to the comment section. Flacco and Concepts in there. A couple others as well. Peppers, great pickup. Absolutely agree there. What happens at corner when they're back? Ramsey at free safety or Peppers and Elliott at safety and Ramsey in the slot? Slay and JPJ outside. Hope this makes sense. I'd have to say the second part of that, honestly. We did not... Well, Chuck Clark played a majority of the snaps at safety on Sunday, but I don't expect that to be, something that we see a whole lot. So if I had to guess, Elliott, they'll slow play him back in. Same thing with Porter. They're coming off of injuries. I'm sure they'll slow play their participation and their snaps out there on the field. But if this secondary, if everyone were to stay healthy from here to the rest of the season, I'd say Elliott definitely out there as one of your safeties. You might see a 50-50 split between Juan Thornhill and Jabril Peppers. If I had to guess, this team really needs to stop the run a bunch and get better at tackling. You'll probably see more Peppers than Thornhill. And then, you put Ramsey back in the slot, but still, when someone comes off the field, you'll put them at their spot. Ramsey, has he ever come off the field at all this season? Legitimately, he played 100% of the snaps Sunday against the Patriots. So that guy, he can just go out there and never, come off the field. So, I mean, really, Ramsey as your starting slot, and then you can have Slay and Porter on the outside. If Slay or Porter come off the field, bounce Ramsey outside, put Brandon Echols in the slot. If Juan Thornhill needs to come off the field, you can either put Jabril Peppers in there or put Ramsey back there. If 2 safeties need to come off the field, let's say Elliott and Peppers are tired, you can have Thornhill, you can have Ramsey back there, you can have Chuck Clark back there, Brandon Echols. So a fully healthy secondary is really something that this team could benefit from, because it's better for us to, say, man, too many good guys in the secondary. Where are they all going to play? Rather have that problem than to have that position really stretched thin, like what they have been, for the past couple of games. So Ramsey, Porter, going to be very welcomed additions back to this team. Pepper's a great signing. Was hoping for him before Elliott's injury. That's what even I was saying their concepts. I said that, I think, back when 53-man rosters were finalized and Peppers got cut, because you had Clark and you had Thornhill and Elliott. Those 3 are your really legitimate safeties. Your 4th safety was Miles Killebrew, a special teams guy. So I was saying, for calling for Peppers back then, you can have Thornhill and Clark be your deep downfield safeties, and have Elliott and Peppers be, up in the box, stopping the run, blitzing the quarterback. So, I was calling for that too. Their concepts. Flacco here using Patrick Queen for passing plays and removing from run plays helped. Yeah, well, I mean, Queen's really got to get better for passing plays here, because I think he and Peyton Wilson, they are the 2 main suspects as to why, for some reason beyond me, the Steelers just keep on giving up easy gains to the tight end in the middle of the field. So Queen's got to get a whole hell of a lot better in pass coverage before I start letting him off the hook here. Concepts again, Holcomb made a difference for sure. Queen was more effective too with Holcomb, I thought. Yes, agreed. Also, I think Peyton Wilson, just to, give that kid a breather and some more confidence, I think he played better on Sunday in a smaller role. So Holcomb, I mean, hey, Steelers brought him in here once upon a time to be a top, linebacker who was going to be out there for most snaps of the game. Holcomb showing his health. I think he can still do that until Peyton Wilson develops some other parts of his game a little bit. Flacco here had faith in Thornhill, bro. I wonder why he did not play that much against the Patriots. Honestly, him and Chuck Clark getting the most snaps at safety, Thornhill the least, Peppers in between there. If I had to guess, snap count for Steeler safeties, what they would be heading into the Patriots game, I would have said, all right, probably Peppers number one because, I think you just take away their position and just go purely off of skill and talent. Peppers might be the best safety on this team. It'd be close with Deshaun Elliott. And then you got Thornhill and Clark battling for the third top safety spot on this team. But yeah, I mean, I didn't know why Thornhill was, didn't play that much. Really like Thornhill signing. His injuries in Cleveland and KC may have taken a toll. Yeah, are we thinking maybe lost a step, something like that? I don't know. We need to pressure Wentz. He'll force the ball if we do. He was erratic with the Colts. I think that might be the only way, honestly, because even if Deshaun Elliott and Joey Porter Jr. play, it's going to be really tough if you just only rush 4 against this Vikings team. If you give Wentz time, he eventually, one of those receivers, Jefferson, Thielen, Addison, even the tight end Hawkinson, you're not going to be able to just, only rush 4 guys and drop everyone else into coverage. They will find a way to get open against any sort of thing. So instead of, dropping a bunch of people back in the coverage and just hoping your front 4 pass rushers are able to get to the quarterback against 5 offensive linemen, plus, a running back who will probably be in there to help just rush, get after Wentz, make him get rid of the ball quickly. That way the defense, the secondary can, have a much easier time. There we go. We're back. Sorry about that, guys. Some connection issues on my end. But yeah, agreed. I think they should look at getting to Wentz first and foremost. Unfortunate, but we all get old. Father Time always wins. Yep. Vikings O-line is kind of good. Hope we can penetrate. Yeah. I got a question. I might be confusing this with Rashawn Slater with the Chargers, but is Christian Darrisaw still at left tackle for the Vikings, or was he one of those before the season starts, season-ending injury guys? If so, that might be where the Steelers try to attack most, because we just learned yesterday while we were live streaming that Donovan Jackson, their first-round pick, their starting left guard, he's out with injury, so you got a backup left guard going against Cam Hayward. But also Christian Darrisaw. Let me see. Is he? Where's the Vikings depth chart here? Is Christian Darrisaw still their left tackle? I wonder. Come on, ESPN. Load for me. Yeah, all right. So they still have him there. But, if you can get Nick Herbig one-on-one with him, that'll open up Cam Hayward to attack that backup left guard. So should be an interesting matchup, this offensive line. They do got some good pieces, Ryan Kelly and Tyler O'Neill as well. So we'll see we'll see how it goes from there. Ron, Duckett, Elliott, and Porter. We need Blunt and Woodson. Maybe, but getting those two guys back, Porter, big corner, can go up with these big physical receivers. Honestly, I'd dare say if Porter's good to go, you might just put him on Justin Jefferson, and that can free up some of the blitzes. I think Porter, not saying he's going to shut down Justin Jefferson, but I think he's the type of guy Joey Jr. is. He would step up in that moment and go toe-to-toe with one of the best in the league. But Elliott, these guys, not going to be game changers, but it will, steady the secondary, I believe. Rod Woodson, my all-time favorite player. He's actually my idol. LOL concepts here. I love Herbig. My only concern is run defense and sealing the edge. Alex forces QBs and running backs to TJ's side. Alex helps TJ and vice versa. Also really like Herbig too. It's a great problem to have. I agree that with some of that. Herbig, I do think he's a guy that benefits more as a guy who comes in off the bench as a, change of pace guy. You got the big outside linebackers in Watt and Highsmith, and then you got the small speedster and Herbig. I think that's where he makes a lot of his success. You say there, Alex forces quarterbacks and running backs to TJ side. That just isn't true. That has not happened this year. Everyone's running away from TJ Watt. They're running at Alex Highsmith, and it's working. So, I mean, if you're going to give up the run to that side, if you're going to give up the run a bunch, no matter whether you have Highsmith or Herbig in there, at least leave in the guy who's going to get to the quarterback more often than not. So we'll see what happens. We need to talk about how bad our O-line is. No time to throw. Well, at least they had a better game, pass protection-wise, against the Patriots. Of course, the scheme that Arthur Smith put out there, the game plan, I think, was to run the ball a ton and set up screen plays to get the offensive line out in space blocking instead of, going toe-to-toe with guys. So we'll see how they fare. They are going to go up against, I said this yesterday, their biggest test yet. They got a solid front there with Minnesota. They brought in Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave. I believe they still got Jonathan Grenard and Van Ginkel as their outside edge rushers. So Steelers offensive line, they are going to have quite the challenge. If I had to guess, probably not going to be pretty. Extra BLK in here. Welcome, Extra. Roman Wilson is a waste of time. Steelers need a bigger target for Aaron Rodgers to throw to. Honestly, at this point, I agree with you. I have no idea where Roman Wilson is. He is on a, milk carton. Where the hell has this guy been? At this point, I don't know what the hell is going on with him. Is he in Tomlin's doghouse? Is he just not picking up, Arthur Smith's playbook? Is he with a third round pick, spending it on him? Has he not developed that way? So I don't know. Roman Wilson looking a lot like he could be a trade chip right now for maybe a Tyreek Hill, Jacoby Myers, something like that, because it's just, you just cannot. A wide receiver room that is an open competition for a wide receiver, 2 spot right now. Just not seeing the field. You're seeing Ben Skoranek out-snap him. Who would have, believed if I said that before the year started? We're losing one-on-one matchups, so sometimes cause 2-on-1 concepts here. Love that Rodgers is proving the world wrong. I knew he would. That man is hated because he was smart to avoid the jab. Sorry, not sorry. I will admit, Rodgers has impressed me. Still though, mobility very, very much an issue. Also, thrown a couple of more interceptions than you thought you would see from the guy who is the all-time leader in interception percentage in his career. But he has impressed me, been an excellent teammate. Think he expects excellence from his, receivers. I don't think, him snapping is him being, a bad teammate. I think that's him showing legitimate, real leadership, not, any quarterback from the past, not, guys who lead by example or anything like that, or Russell Wilson, who is always the smiley good guy. It's legit leadership from Aaron Rodgers. Sometimes it's going to be, hell yeah, way to go, let's do it again. Sometimes it's going to be like, hey, what the hell are you doing here? I told you to do this and do this. He's doing the job leadership, giving tough love when needed and all that. So Rodgers has improved me in more ways than one, but still got a long way to go here because Steelers, road, it's only getting tougher from here on out, and he's got to get this offense going. We need time for the wide receiver to get separation. Talking about our wide receiver, we saw it a time or two in the Seahawks game, and I think it happened a time or two again in the Patriots game when the offensive line does give Rodgers protection. Wide receivers haven't been getting open. Calvin Austin not getting open. Ben Skoranek not getting open. Jonnu Smith and Pat Freiermuth at times have struggled to get open. DK Metcalf is getting double covered and things like that. So I think it's more, I'm more worried about, honestly, the Steelers getting another wide receiver than I am the offensive line, getting better pass blocking from here on out. As much as the offensive line is a problem, I think wide receiver 2 has convinced me over the first 3 weeks of the season that they need to go get someone, a true game breaker, like a Tyreek Hill or something to help, because it's just not working. Flocko, this O-line will get Aaron Rodgers killed, getting hit way too much. I absolutely agree. Gonna take a hard hit. His head's gonna hit off the turf. He's gonna try to catch himself landing. Someone's gonna land on him. It's not. I don't think it's a matter of if. It's a matter of when Rodgers is gonna get banged up and may miss time with the way things are going. A couple other things. New York Post: Texans releasing Super Bowl champion safety C.J. Gardner over friction between the scenes. I did see that. That CJ GJ got released from the Texans. And I've also seen people saying, hey, Steelers, why not? Why not bring in another, safety who was, great and a former Super Bowl champion? Honestly, if Deshaun Elliott's injury was, worse than we expected and he was still going to be out a couple more weeks, I would say, why not? This secondary, any help is good help right now. So I don't think it's going to happen, but CJ Gardner Johnson could be useful if, say someone else in the secondary goes down over the weekend. If I had to guess, Gardner Johnson, he might go back to like a place he's been before. Like, I could see him going and playing a lesser role with the Eagles or something like that, because the Eagles, I think their secondary has had some issues to begin the season, and I think they're light there as well. So would not be surprised if he goes back to Philly. Thank you there, Flocko. The starting lineup: O'Neal, Brian O'Neal, Will Fries, Ryan Kelly, 2 former Indianapolis Colts, Will Fries and Kelly in the middle of that line. Donovan Jackson's out, and Christian Darrisaw hasn't been the healthiest guy for his career. So it's going to be a good matchup, that offensive line against the Steelers pass rush. Especially, I wonder if they put Brian O'Neal. Will probably be one of my top matchups, the tackles versus the edge rushers. Mr. Loon Table Talk, welcome. Disappointed in Pat 88. Yeah, Freiermuth, I don't think has had the best start to the season here. I think Jonnu Smith has been a more viable target for Aaron Rodgers. Muth hasn't really been getting open. Dropped the ball that Rodgers on the run just put with perfect placement. Muth dropped that in the Seahawks game. Had a couple miscommunications with Rodgers in the Patriots game. So, yeah, I don't know what's up with him, but he better figure it out quickly, too. Rather have a wide receiver as well. Agreed, Flacco. Wide receiver, I think, has clearly become a more pressing issue because every once in a while, the offensive line, they're still going to only build chemistry and they may get better together. I don't think you're going to have to see, I don't think you have anything left to see Roman Wilson or Calvin Austin wise. They don't have some sort of, secret trait or ceiling that they're going to burst through anytime soon. So I agree with that, Flacco. 12 of you in here right now. Welcome to the live stream. Just talked a bunch of Pittsburgh Steelers football right there. If you are new here to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live again. Also, like this live stream, share this live stream, leave a comment in the comments section. Super chats now available as well. Also, be sure to tune back in later tonight for a new edition of SCSR 60 and go give the channel a follow at Steel City SR, Facebook, Instagram, and X. Gonna shift gears here, ladies and gentlemen, just for a little bit. We just talked about the Steelers. Now we're going to get into some Pittsburgh Penguins hockey. The Pens last night beginning the preseason for the 2025-26 season. Lineup last night for the Bucks, their roster pretty much filled with some bottom six guys that will be fighting for spots on the opening night roster and some prospects who might start the year in the AHL, but then will might be up sometime later this year. For the Canadiens, they went up against some starters for Montreal. They started their top goaltender, Sam Montembeault. They had their two top defensemen, Mike Matheson, former Penguin, and Noah Dobson, former New York Islander, in the lineup. Ivan Demidov, their top young player, was in the lineup. So was Patrick Laine and Brendan Gallagher, Josh Anderson. So the Pens mainly playing, bottom six guys and prospects, and they had the two young goaltenders against Anthony Mantha, two veterans with the young Bros, who has really shined in the AHL and in training camp to this point. Robbie Fabry, Una Koppanen, Avery Hayes, Harvey Pinard, Raphael Harvey Pinard, Tommy Novak, Valtteri Puustinen, and then Sam Poulin, Ben Kendall, Boko Amama. So pretty much every single forward line had two veterans who have had solid NHL experience, or at least some NHL experience, and then prospects who have had little to no NHL experience. Those were the offensive line. Ryan Graves and Connor Clifton, two guys who bring some physicality there. Ryan Shea and Matt Dumba, that could legitimately be your opening night bottom defensive pairing. And then the two young kids, Owen Pickering, Harrison Brunick, they were paired together throughout throughout Penn's training camp thus far. They were a pairing in last night's game. Two top Penn's defensive prospects right there. To start the game, Yoel Blomqvist in net for the black and gold. And right away, listened into this game. Live on TSN. Anyways, listening to the game last night, sounded like the Pens for the first half of that hockey game, and it, continued on throughout the night. They were physical, laying the body, separating man from puck, being, hard and physical on the forecheck. that is a sight for sore eyes to see this team be physical for once. Because as much as Mike Sullivan, former Penguins coach, loves to say, we got to be hard on the puck, get in, chip pucks in, get down and dirty, physicality from this team, especially in their own end of the ice, it was just non-existent. It's very frustrating when you see teams like your division rival, the Washington Capitals, come in with Tom Wilson and Ovechkin and their defensive guys just come in here and absolutely bully you, with the body. The New York Rangers, they were more physical than the Pens. Islanders the same way. And that's a, style of play that this team needs to go back to. I'm not saying, go out there and goon it up and just, go out headhunting, but be physical, because that's how this team won their cups back in 2016 and 2017. They weren't, fighters, but they went out there and they were playing fearless and, hard on the forecheck, laid hits at the most opportune times. This team has really gotten away from that, especially over the past, half decade or so. So that's very encouraging to hear that they were physical once again, and that's something that they are going to need to reintroduce that culture if they're going to be playoff contenders here when this rebuild is all said and done. Pens got on the power play a couple times early in the first period. Novak, Mantha, Kindle, Hayes, Dumba was the first power play unit. So you got the veteran defenseman running the power play and Dumba, Novak, and Mantha down low, I'm sure, looking to bang home any loose rebounds, and then two youngsters who can shoot the puck in Kindle and Hayes. Second power play unit, that unit more effective. Harvey Pinard, Danton Heinen, Tristan Brose, Valtteri Puustinen, and Harrison Brunick. And that is how the Pens, ladies and gentlemen, got on the board last night. Tristan Brose, just mentioned it, having himself a hell of a training camp, lights it up at the AHL. He and Valtteri Puustinen play catch. Brose ends up putting it home. Brunick, the power play quarterback there at the point, pass to Tristan Brose, then feeds it to Puustinen in the high slot. Puustinen gives it back to him immediately, and Brose, an absolute ripper to the upper right corner of the net for the easy goal. That is going to be something that hopefully we see a ton moving forward in that young man's future from Tristan Brose. After that, bit of a scoreless hockey after that. Pens did end up going on the penalty kill a couple of times, and I think someone put out there the Pens running a bit of a different penalty kill than what we've seen before, sort of going with a 1-3 style of penalty kill through the neutral zone. One guy in deep for his lineup across the ice there. Middle guy goes and pressures wherever the initial forechecker sends the puck. So that's a solid penalty kill. Why? Back when I was playing high school hockey, we ran a similar thing, and I believe someone mentioned that that's what they do at the U.S. National Development Program. So bringing back the 1-3 penalty kill, I'm okay with that. Heading into the second period, like we expected, Yoel Blomqvist and Sergei Murashov, they swapped places. Blomqvist stopped all 11 shots that he faced. Murashov came in with a 1-0 lead. So solid outing there for Yoel Blomqvist. And we actually got our first scrap of the season, of the preseason, I should say. You had Jared Davidson for the Canadians going up against Sam Poulin. So I think yesterday when I said the lineup for that game last night for the Pens, you had Poulin in the lineup, former first round pick, running out of time to make a solid spot for him in the NHL full time. I guess that's one way to do it. I mean, go out there and show you're a tough guy. Poulin, I'm not sure he's necessarily known as a fighter, but hey, that Davidson, I think he at least knew somewhat what he was doing in the fight. Poulian held his own, got a couple of good shots in. I think ultimately Davidson landed more big blows, but hey, shout out Sam Poulian to at least make your mark one way or another. After that, ladies and gentlemen, game continued on into the third period. Pens still up 1-0. Sergei Murashov did an outstanding job, was under siege for certain points in that period. Unfortunately, Canadians ended up tying it up. I think it was a third, straight chance against Murashov that finally got put in the back of the net. Stopped the first and second shots for the Habs, but then the third one ended up getting past him. Not going to harp on him too much for that. Game ended up going to overtime in OT. Ryan Shea and Avery Hayes had a chance to end it, but Jacob Fowler, backup goaltender for the Canadians in that game, made an outstanding stop, shifting, pushing off right to left, got across the crease and robbed Hayes. At the other end of the ice, Murashov made just as good of a stop on Ivan Demidov, the top player in the lineup for the Canadians last night. Game ended up going into a shootout. That went 5 rounds. Pens scored 1 goal. I believe it was in the third round with Tristan Brose. Actually, the shot that Farrell made hit Murashov in the blocker, went straight up in the air, and then landed right behind Murashov in the net. So nothing he can do there. The final score in that game ended up being 2-1. Look here for the Pens at the box score for that game. Pretty even matchup, honestly. Pens 34 shots on goal to the Canadians 31. Both goaltenders for the Pens did an outstanding job. Got to work on the face-off, percentage a little bit more, but I think, majority of the guys taking the face-offs were youngsters, so they're only gonna improve upon that as their careers go on. But hey, special teams units, pretty darn good. 1 for 4 on the power play. Sure, you might want to convert another one of those, but hey, 1 for 4, better than 0 for 4. And then the PK for the Pens, perfect last night. So that was the final score, 2-1. But overall positive first preseason game for the Pens. The goalies, the young goalies that we've been hyping up, that whichever one of those develops into the guy for the Pens, they're going to be special. Especially Murashov. Both of those guys did well. Murashov, 19 of 20 saves made. Blomqvist was perfect. Tristan Brose, I mentioned that face-off percentage there. He had no issues. Had 9 face-off wins, a goal on the power play, a goal in shootout. Harrison Brunick, he had an assist, 6 shots on goal, and Brunick really looks legit. Penn's top defensive prospect by a mile. Harrison Brunick. I think one of his faults when he came out of the draft was, hey, how's this kid going to be skating? He clearly improved upon that over the offseason. He looks ready for the NHL. I don't know if he makes the roster, the opening night roster, with already 3 solid right shot defensemen in Letang, Carlson, and Dumba, but that kid's going to be up here sooner. Last night, listening to the game, scrolling through Twitter, just about every single beat writer, a young certain number 29 from Penguins history. So, hey. Franchise, I think we'll be happy fans if that ends up being the case. To the comment section we go. The comment section is blowing up right now. See, we got a couple of guys back in there. We have Flacco and Concepts, but a couple other legitimate commenters of ours, Freight Train and Al on the Prowl, back in there as well. When Rodgers had even 4 seconds, he throws darts, constantly having to roll out of pressure. Yeah, I think that's another thing. Rodgers, a couple of times, he's had the opportunity to get throws off, but then he's forced to roll out of the pocket and avoid pressure because no one's getting open downfield. And then when he's on the run and receivers are forced to get off their routes and get into open field, there's been miscommunications. So not good on either thing. Not good getting open initially, and not good being in sync with your quarterback to be a safety valve for him when he's on the run. They know there's no time. Focus on that screen instead of the run. Yep, that's another thing we talked about. Problems of a young O-line, I guess, indeed. Yep, they're predictable. Freight train, I see that. Al on the prowl here. Sup, Al on the prowl. Late, that's all right. Glad you're here. Either way, Ravens have a big problem. Yeah, let's just take a moment here and address that. Let's all give high fives here through the cameras. Let's do a little bit of celebrating. The Steelers might be they might be 2-2 after this upcoming weekend's game against the Vikings. I'm not going to take much optimism into that game, but let's at least take a little bit of happiness with the fact that after this upcoming weekend in the slate of NFL games, one of the Kansas City Chiefs or the Baltimore Ravens, preferably for us Steelers fans, the Ravens, one of those two teams is going to be 1-3 to start the year. Who would have thought it? Not me. Not me, that's for sure. All right, Al. The Ravens losing to the Lions and Bills, the Chiefs losing to the Chargers, and who is it else they lost to? Who'd they play in week 2? Why am I drawing a blank? The Chiefs. Oh, the Eagles. Duh, the Eagles. That's why they played. But yeah, now they get to play each other, and one of those two is going to be 1-3. Thank goodness. The Derrick Henry fumble thing could be a problem. Yeah, and I've seen that I think he's on one of my fantasy teams, and I think the strategy that I went into fantasy football this year was to have a pick late in the first round, so then you can double up, get Henry in the early second, and get a solid wide receiver as well. But now that I don't have Henry on many of my fantasy teams, if he's going to have fumbleitis all year, man, really dodged one right there. Lions are for real, I think. Yeah, that might be a problem. I think that week 1 against the who'd they play week 1? The Lions. The Lions, they figured it out, and the Packers, at least offensively, they might be not what we thought they would be. Same freight train. Freight train salutes. Everyone greeting each other in here. Love it as always. Lions remind me a lot of how I guess I could see it a little bit. I think where you're really getting at there is that you got two, scary looking, impose your will coaches between Cowher and Dan Campbell. You got an offense that, still pretty innovative in the Lions. Offense back then, obviously, for the Steelers was a young Big Ben leading the charge there. However, Lions going to Bill Cowher's reign, I don't think the Lions have the defense that the Steelers back then had. They still gave up 30 points to the Ravens. A couple other things here. Flacco, I hate the Ravens. So happy they're losers. The one thing you can always count on, death, taxes, and Flacco saying that he hates the Ravens here just about every stream. Love it, Flacco. Think the Ravens are a top 3 team, but they are not winners. That is legit. That's a legitimate statement. It might not make sense on paper, but it's true. The Ravens on paper, and for the question, where the hell was Zay Flowers last night? So I don't know what the plan was to completely take Zay Flowers out of it. But yeah, the Ravens are legit, but man, Harbaugh really finds a way to lose those games. Really does. Nah, Bills should be AFC champs. I'm not Steelers. If not Steelers, a Bills-Lions Super Bowl would be awesome. Honestly, couldn't hope for anything else there. Two teams to where I got no sort of gripe against. Yeah, I'd be cool with either one. Zay Flowers was with Roman Wilson. Yeah, on the bench or out there just getting some cardio in. Well, I hope that's not the case moving forward because one of my fantasy teams, I had CeeDee Lamb and Mike Evans as my top two receivers. And now both of them are down with injury for a good stretch. So I'm relying on Jackson Smith and Jigba and Cortland Sutton and Zay Flowers their way out. Steelers can't win in Pittsburgh either. Yeah, home performances. They have been a problem. Not going to deny that there, Freight Train. 15 of you in here right now. Please do not be shy. Join in the fun of Flacco, Freight Train, Owl on the Prowl concepts. Get any thoughts, comments, opinions that you have in the comment section. Super chats available now as well. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are up to, I have not done a subscriber check since we are live, up to 554 subscribers on the channel. So I believe we gained one new subscriber since we've been live. Thank you to that beautiful person that did so. Yeah, I'm really going through it there. Ouch, Evans and CeeDee Lamb. Yep. I had a solid three wide receiver trio there with JSN, Evans, and Lamb, but now two of the three in one weekend gone. So hopefully my running backs and quarterback in that can carry. Lost Lamb on my main league. Yeah, that sucks. Man, his ankle, that did not look good. I don't know if they're going to put him on IR, but they really should for how his ankle looked there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, going to get going here. Spent a lot of time talking about some Steeler football here. We're going to get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news segment here in a moment, but real quick, the last main news story segment here for the day. A very cool thing happening this morning for the Pittsburgh Penguins. They, I believe a couple of weeks ago, announced that they were going to reopen the Pittsburgh Penguins Hall of Fame, and today we found out who will be in that Hall of Fame for the Pittsburgh Penguins. You see their pictures right there. The Pittsburgh Penguins Hall of Fame class of 2025, star-studded. Right there. They got in there Scotty Bowman, Ron Francis, Eddie and were key factors into the original dynasty of the Penguins. Those early 1990 teams that featured Lemieux and Yager, Coffey. Now these guys join them. Johnston, Francis, Bowman, Stevens. Completely and totally deserved, those guys. Penguins also released a video of Kyle Dubas sitting in the lobby of the Lemieux Sports Complex, the Pens practice facility, calling each and every single one of those gentlemen individually. And this well-deserved honor for these four. They will be honored Saturday, October 25th against the Columbus Blue Jackets. I guess that's a theme that the Pens are going to go with here. You got some sort of a special, heartwarming nostalgia event going on with the Pens. Do it against the Blue Jackets at home. You got the Fleury preseason game coming up against the Blue Jackets here over the weekend. And now as well, the Penguins Hall of Fame class, I guess, induction ceremony will be October 25th. So congratulations to all four of them. As Flacco says in here, OGs. Yep. Key contributors in the Pens and where they are today. Those initial two Stanley Cup championship teams. Have Jay Jettas, Dunze, Garrett Wilson, and Pickens on your fantasy team. That's a solid group. I thought Dunze, I haven't watched much of the Bears. I thought Dunze would have been thought Odunze would have been a much bigger factor in the offense for the Bears, but at least, from the way outside looking in, it looks like Luther Burden and DJ Moore are getting more than Odunze. Garrett Wilson, solid, but, I wasn't going to trust Justin Fields to throw him the ball. I was going to trust Fields to throw him the ball a lot, but not really do much of it, and Pickens is Pickens. DJ Moore may become tradable. He'd be my top option, I think, even over Tyreek Hill. DJ Moore, honestly. Probably because of that stupid cannon talking about the Blue Jackets. Yeah, that cannon gets everyone. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news of the day here. Going to kick things off here, sticking with hockey. Real quick, though, let me change the channel here on my TV to my right. We are going to get to baseball here in a minute. The Pirates and Cincinnati Reds, nothing, bottom of the first in that game. I said it in the open. The Pirates, this is going to be their biggest series that they play for the remainder of this season. You're way out of it, but hey, you can drag one of your divisional opponents down with them. The Reds, holding the final wild card spot, they control their own destiny, but the Pens, they'll look to force their destiny upon them here starting tonight. Going into the extra Pittsburgh sports news here from the day, we're just going to run through this all really, really quickly. Pens, their training camp continued today. Didn't hear much from the first practice of the day, the 8:45 practice, because tons of the insiders were very, deservedly covering the Penguins Hall of Fame announcement. Second practice of the day, that was the Evgeny Malkin group. He on a line with Justin Brazeau and Philip Tomasino. That could be an interesting line that you might see in a preseason game or even heading into the regular season. I said, a perfect Evgeny Malkin line. He's going to be the guy that likes to carry the puck up ice and into the zone. Get yourself a sniper on that line that Gino can feed, and get yourself a guy that's going to go to the front of the net and get dirty. Tomasino fits that sniper role. Brazeau fits that big body going down there to screen the goaltender. So I like that. Also, in that practice, or in the morning practice, we saw Sidney Crosby and Brian Rust back on a line together. Would not be surprised if their line mates once again, who will be with them, whether it's Rickard Rakell or Ville Koivunen, we do not know yet, on that line for that practice. Aiden McDonough, which, going to be honest, had no idea who Aiden McDonough was heading into training camp. Doubt he's going to be on that line for too much longer. No offense to him. Another line from today's practice that we get to watch. Rickard Rakell, Ville Koivunen on the same line with Philip Hollander centering that line. That could be Hollander filling in for Crosby there, but who knows? Lots of different line configurations this roster can have. Honestly, for a rebuilding team, they got a ton of different options to make some solid lineups heading into the regular season. A couple other notes from the practices today. In the second practice of the day, we also got a look at Maxim Pavlenko, another Russian goaltender. He had a solid day for the Pens in practice. I guess he's filling in for Taylor Gauthier, another AHL goaltender who went down with injury a couple of days ago. And then into the third practice of the day today, the late afternoon practice. That was the group that played in last night's preseason game. Couple of good performances in that practice. Robbie Fabry with a good showing for the Pens here on a PTO. I think he could eventually sign a contract with the Pens. I like his game. 5-on-5. Sam Poulin makes his impact again, scoring a goal 5-on-5. Nice for him. And then, most importantly, Harrison Brunick again, just like in last night's preseason game. Read that he won a puck battle against the wall to stop a team coming back into the zone. Bounced the puck off of the wall to himself, went in 2-on-1 on Yoel Blomqvist and had a no-look snipe over the shoulder of Blomqvist. Like I said, kid's legit. Please get him in the NHL sooner rather than later. Last piece of information today on the Pens training camp. They officially, I guess, made their first trim down of training camp. They assigned brother of Avery Hayes, Travis Hayes, to his junior team, the Sioux Greyhounds, in the OHL. Last extra Pittsburgh last extra hockey story here for the day. Cool thing here. NHL debuting a new season of Face Off inside the NHL that will premiere on October 3rd. And for once, Penguin will be a part of that. Sidney Crosby will be a part of that show. So I'm sure I'll be tuning into that, same as all of you. On to some extra Pittsburgh Pirates news here. Like I said, game ongoing right now between the Bucks and the Reds. Lineup tonight for the Bucks: O'Neal Cruz leading off, back in the leadoff spot in center field. Jared Triolo batting second at third base. Brian Reynolds DH. Spencer Horwitz at first. Nick Gonzalez at short. Jack Sawinski in left. Nick York at second base. Alexander Canario in right. Rafael Flores does the catching. That lineup, ladies and gentlemen, however, was not the original lineup for tonight's ball game. Joey Bart was supposed to be the DH tonight, and Brian Reynolds was supposed to be in left. Alexander Canario not scheduled to play. Bart with left wrist discomfort pregame, so that shuffles around the lineup a little bit. I believe this is Rafael Flores' first game catching in the big leagues. I do not think that he's caught. He's played first base a time or two, but has not caught yet in the MLB. Anyways, like I said, Johan Oviedo on the bump for the Bucks tonight. He is opposite Brady Singer. Looks like we are heading into the top of the second now. This game still scoreless. So Oviedo, a 1-2-3 inning, I'm going to assume. Matchups for the rest of this series: a battle of the aces tomorrow. Hunter Green, Paul Skeens. So the two top pitchers for each ball club going head-to-head. And then on Thursday, Nick Lodolo against Braxton Ashcraft. Might that day, ladies and gentlemen, see that Braxton Ashcraft start. Unless you see him tonight, I doubt you see him with Skeens pitching tomorrow. Might see the debut of Hunter Barco on Thursday. Might be a bullpen game with him and Braxton Ashcraft. The additional roster move to call up Hunter Barco is made today. Left-handed pitcher, reliever, Evan Sisk, sent back down to AAA. And outfielder Ronnie Simon, wouldn't you know it, with his separated shoulder that he had roughly a month ago, transferred to the 60-day IL. Speaking of prospects here, wrapping up the Pittsburgh Pirates talk here for today. I mentioned it briefly last night, but I'll mention it again. Congratulations to Connor Griffin. He was named Baseball America's Minor League Player of the Year. Very deserved. We went over his stats last night. They are godly, including a .333 batting average and 21 home runs. He also is going to be on Baseball America's 2026 Prospect Handbook. He's going to be on the cover of that book by Baseball America. So cool thing there. Last baseball news story here of the day, and this is one I believe we've talked about on here before. Not exactly specific about the Pittsburgh Pirates, but it will be today. Baseball confirming that they will implement the automatic balls and strikes challenge system into the MLB starting next season. So a committee voted a new era of baseball with the ABS system will begin next year. Teams, 2 challenges to dispute calls by the home plate umpire per game. So awesome to hear that. I think, it still keeps the human element of a real home plate umpire behind the plate, but it's clear umpires, they aren't getting any better with their borderline balls and strikes calls. Pirates have been, rung up on too many terrible calls this year. Paul Skeens, just one of many Pirates pitchers who hasn't gotten many good calls. So that is good to hear. Last couple things here for the day, talking about some extra Pittsburgh Steelers news. This one, a pretty big story in the NFL today. The New York Giants benching Russell Wilson, and they, in week 4 against the Los Angeles Chargers, will be starting rookie quarterback Jackson Dart. So that kind of means two things here, ladies and gentlemen. Means two things. One, Russ getting benched. That affects significantly the Steelers' compensatory pick that they will be getting from the Giants in next year's draft, instead of it being a 3rd or 4th. I'm not sure exactly how the compensatory system works here, but instead of possibly getting a 3rd or 4th round pick for Russell Wilson, you're probably looking at a mid to late day 3 pick. Russ only starting 3 games, Dart now taking over. That affects that compensatory pick for the Steelers. Also, didn't realize this until I heard it on Get Up this morning. Wilson, dating back to his time as a Steeler, 0-9 in his last 9 starts. I thought that was kind of crazy. Another thing that this means, I think leading up to the draft, we talked a bunch on here how if the Steelers were to take a quarterback in the 1st round, Jackson Dart would be up there on the list of potential guys for the Steelers to draft. Steelers passed on Dart, took Derek Harmon. A couple picks later, Dart goes to the Giants. We will see if, at least early on here, if the Steelers made the right or wrong choice not drafting Jackson Dart. I will say, happy, very ecstatic with Derek Harmon's play, but hey, a good quarterback trumps all. A couple other things here related to the Steelers. We did, like I mentioned, get the passing chart for Aaron Rodgers against the Patriots, and like we all predicted, not much here in this area of the field. The middle of the field, completely and totally bare. Had 2 completions there, and of course the interception to Rob Spillane, but everything just about outside the numbers and a whole lot of screen passes and things like that. So ugly spray chart was probably the game plan for the Steelers, but they're not going to go anywhere if they continue doing things like that for the remainder of the year. Also, moving from last weekend's game against the Patriots to this weekend's game, we do have those who will be on the call. Now we got the broadcast crew for this game coming up against the Vikings in Ireland. That game will be exclusively on NFL Network. Calling the ball game will be Joe Davis, Greg Olson, and Pam Oliver and Jamie Erdahl as sideline reporters. Last extra Pittsburgh Steelers news here for the day. We just talked about Jackson Dart and if the Steelers should have drafted him. How about let's talk about real quick about a quarterback prospect who they could be looking at drafting this upcoming draft. One that they have scouted a ton so far this college football season. Oklahoma quarterback John Mateer has had a solid college football season so far. Unfortunately, though, his draft stock might have taken a little bit of a hit. He is going to be out for a little bit. He's going to undergo surgery on his right hand in an injury he sustained against Auburn. So that absolutely sucks. That's going to tank his draft stock a good bit, and hopefully things will get better for him in the not too distant future. All right. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, scrolling here through Twitter before we log off here for the night. We got the lineup out for tomorrow night's game between the Pens and the Columbus Blue Jackets. That game is in Columbus. the roster for this game. Going through here, looks like we're getting a similar looking lineup. Bunch of prospects and a bunch of bottom six guys. Forwards for tomorrow night's game for the Pens. Aiden McDonough, Aaron Huglin, Philip Hollander, Justin Brazo, Connor Dewar, Nolan Renwick, Tristan Brose, Ville Koivunen, excited to see him, Blake Lizotte, Philip Tomasino, Zach Gallant, Ben Kindle, and Atlee Calvert. Screw it. I want to see Brose and Koivunen on a line. Those two were on a line together in the AHL. Put them on a line together. I want to see if they have the chemistry still that they had in the minors. Defense, Jack St. Ivany, Sebastian Aho, Philip Kemp, Alexander Alexiev, Connor Clifton, Quinn Beauchene, Caleb Johnson, the two goaltenders, Philip Larson, and Arturs Shalovs. So, again, the Pens going with a lineup of rookies who are probably, some of who are probably going to be assigned to the minors or their junior teams before too long, and then some bottom six players who are going to be fighting for roster spots and playing times. Oh, this is interesting here, ladies and gentlemen. Talking about some Steeler football here. The Steelers today hosting offensive lineman Nate Herbig for a workout. Nick Herbig's brother back at the Steelers facility. Steelers host him for a workout. He retired earlier this summer. Wow. I guess, if a slight opportunity comes up for you to play with your brother again, you take it. But wow, was not expecting to see that. Huh. The Herbig brothers could be reunited again on the same team. Nate Herbig could be coming back to the black and gold. Interesting. We do have a update here on the vote. I mentioned the ABS balls and strike system will be put in for the MLB. 23 teams voted in favor of the ABS challenge system. 7 teams did not. Wonder who those 7 teams were. Also, looking here, Seth Hernandez, Pirates' number 1 overall pick this year in the MLB draft, showing posting some workout videos. Blessed to be back, adding the Pirates. Another one's on the way, ladies and gentlemen. You got Skeens and Chandler and Ashcraft and Burrows in the majors right now. Hunter Barco's going to make his debut. You still got a couple of other pitching prospects in the minors. But Seth Hernandez, another one. He's on the way. He is on the way. Don't you fret. All right, going to hit the comment section one more time here. Flacco right here. Man, I feel like the Pirates are better than the actual record. A bottom 6 or 7 team is sad. Pitching-wise, yeah. Pitching-wise, they are grossly better than their record shows. But the bats, however, for what they've done most of the year, they deserve to be in the bottom of the basement of the MLB. It's almost like the Steelers this past weekend against the Patriots. When you know it, the defensive unit, in this case for the Pirates, the pitching, lights out, giving the team every single opportunity to win. And then the offense can't do anything, mainly because of their own incompetence, i.e. the bats. So that's at least one similarity between the football and hockey and the baseball team. And good news. I was just talking with you guys, I think, without turning to the TV for a solid 15-20 minutes. Bottom of the second now. Bucks are up 4-0. What the hell happened? Let's see here what the what went down here for the Pirates. Let's go here. See what is going on. $4-0. They bat around the order? Johan Oviedo gives happened here. Gamecast here. So bottom of the second, or top of the second, Nick Gonzalez flies out. Jack Sawinski with a double. Nick York singles, scoring Sawinski. Alexander Canario doubles. That makes it 2-0, brings home York. And then after Rafael Flores strikes out, O'Neal Cruz, his 20th home run of the season. I see this. Hopefully the audio doesn't blow out my ears here. There you go. See here, Cruz. Oppo. Opposite field to about the third row. I would have expected it, Great American Ballpark or whatever the hell it. Yeah, Great American Ballpark still. I don't know. Teams, especially in baseball, changed they changed the stadium name more often than not. But I thought Cruz, would have absolutely launched one out of the stadium. Hell yeah, Cruzy. 4-0 Bucks. Elly De La Cruz up to bat here. Come on, Johan, strike him out. The 1-2. The pitch. Chopper foul. Damn. Couple other comments here from Flacco's. That looked like a rush. Passes and a lot of wide receivers bumping. Yeah, could be, rushed passes for Rodgers, and I'm sure, a bunch of it is, play design. But Arthur, let's mix it up a little bit offensively here on the passing chart. Yes, game. Curious to see if I can find how fast Rodgers had to get the ball out of his hand. I think he is last year. Damn it. Sorry, got distracted. I said strikeout, Elly De La Cruz out, Oviedo. Instead, he gives up an absolute bomb to right field. Complete and total opposite of what I said. Okay, 4-2 now. Yeah, I think Rodgers, he's got one of the fastest snap to throw timings in the league. He had it last year with the Jets. Wouldn't be surprised if he has something similar this year with the Steelers. Couple of other things here. Also this year, another new thing before we log off for the night, the Steelers, they are going to be putting out on YouTube here on Thursday night or Thursday afternoon at 3 p.m. a Steelers story. The Ambassador premieres. So a Dan Rooney Steelers documentary coming out on YouTube here in 2 days. That'll certainly be something I'm sure we all will watch. Looking to see if there's anything else going on here. I just saw Andrew Filipponi put out a AI picture of Russell Wilson in a Bengals uniform. Honestly, now Russ going and signing with the Bengals, I don't know, but honestly, I would not be surprised if Dart, does his thing, or even if he doesn't. I would not be surprised if the Giants end up ditching Russ altogether, because if Dart gets hurt or he sucks, you're not going to go back to Russ. You've already seen what you have there. They might just go with Jameis Winston, honestly. So I think Russ might have played his, unless some team gets so badly injured at quarterback. Russell Wilson, ladies and gentlemen, we could be talking about him having played his last snaps of professional football. Wow. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is going to wrap things up well over an hour and a half on stream here tonight. I do appreciate each and every single one of you keeping me company here in the comment section. Flacco, Concepts, Al on the Prowl, Freight Train, as always. Pittsburgh sports coverage. We'll talk about what goes on in this Pirates game. We'll talk about anything else going on with the Steelers and with the Pittsburgh Penguins. So have a good rest of your night, ladies and gentlemen. Busy times. We're always going to have stuff to talk about on here. One last time, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. like, share, comment on this live stream. Super chats and super stickers now available. Go give the channel a follow on the following social media platforms at Steel City SR, and be sure to come back at some point later tonight. Don't know when I'll have it out. SCSR60. Thank you all. Have a good rest of your Tuesday night. Back here, same time tomorrow, around 5:30 to discuss further. Peace.